We are honored this morning to have with us the current president of the National School Board Association, Ed Massey. Ed was first elected to the NSBA board in April of 2008, serving as Central Region Director to NSBA's Board of Directors, representing school boards members in Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kentucky, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Ohio, and Wisconsin. Got the Midwest covered. His leadership role on the board started when he was elected for a one-year term as NSBA Secretary and Treasurer in 2010. Ed's in his fifth term, starting his 16th year on the Boone County, Kentucky Board of Education. His father is a retired elementary principal, and his mother is a retired school teacher. Ed's been involved in education since 1989, when he began as a substitute teacher in that Boone County school district. Ed's a former Kentucky School Board Association president, first elected to the KSBA board in 1998, and elected and completed his two-year term as immediate past president in February of 2011. This morning he's going to share with us his thoughts about adaptive leadership, and following Ed's remarks we will have a panel discussion on developing stronger support for public education, and excuse me, and we will have time for questions, so we'll have an opportunity. So help me welcome to the podium a true champion of public education in this country, Ed Massey.
Well, good morning, everyone. It is good to see these bright and smiling faces today. I rolled in last night at 2 a.m. Where I've come from, and I apologize that I could not be here for your whole conference, but my schedule is kind of crazy. And I was in Texas for the Texas Association of School Boards, and I gave greetings to them on Friday and spoke to their delegate assembly yesterday before catching a plane to St. Louis and driving in last night. So I did get to see some wildlife. That was very interesting. And I will tell you, though, that it is great to be here. I certainly love the Central Region states, not that I don't represent all states, but certainly that's been how I've come up through NSBA, is through the Central Region. Many of you out there I know have been friends with you for a number of years, and so I'm delighted to be here. I also congratulate you on Carter. He's one of the godfathers of the executive directors, and he is just a wonderful individual and has been a mentor to me somewhat as I've come up. So, Carter. Well, just so you know a little bit about me, you heard a little bit briefly, but I like to tell people that I'm a lawyer by trade, and I always tell people that law is my occupation, but education is truly my passion, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I grew up as an only child to parents that are still wonderful in their living, and I talk to them every day, and my father's a retired school principal. He started as a math teacher and wound up doing he led the community ed development in Covington, Kentucky, which is an inner city environment, before becoming a high school dean of boys, which was a challenge because I went to a neighboring school district and I played football against the team from his school. And so I always got, they would be like looking for me on the field. But my mother's a retired elementary school teacher, and they instilled at me in a very early age the importance of education. Now, I know that I went this morning to the session they had that was led by Sharon she's a wonderful song leader, by the way. Good job. And I went to that session this morning, and I will tell you, and the reason that made me think of this is what I'm about to tell you. My parents brought me up in a home that they told me this: there are two things in life that nobody can ever take away from you, no matter what happens to you. They can't take away your education, and they can't take away your faith. And I have both of those things in my life, and that's really what drives me as the individual that I am. And so after going to Eastern Kentucky University, I attended the Chase College of Law, and when I did so, I went through as a substitute teacher for 6 years. I taught everything from preschool to high school. My favorite was preschool, though. There's nothing like being around a bunch of energetic kids and singing and playing and just seeing them develop. I still remember my little songs like 5 Little Ducks Went Swimming One Day, all that kind of stuff. And they just give you an energy for life. And so when my dad retired, I was able to run for the school board, And now I've served in Boone County for 16 years. If you don't know where Boone County is, here's how I describe it. If you've ever flown through the Cincinnati airport, the Cincinnati airport is in Kentucky. It's in Boone County. That's where I live. So if you've ever been through that area, it's right at the tip, south of Cincinnati and just a little bit east of Indiana. And so that's where I reside. I have a wonderful board, and they have been wonderful to give me the opportunity to be here. It's one of those things that I know many of you have experienced. My board is like my family. They really are. We're that close, and we work together in that way. I also have a wonderful wife. I've been married almost 25 years. I tell her now that I've been with her so long that if she leaves me, I'm going with her. So I also have 3 daughters, an 18-year-old, a 16-year-old as of Friday, and a 13-year-old. So I started to ask for prayer this morning, but I will tell you that they are also a blessing. So that's a little bit about me. I just tell you that to put it in context of who I am and why I believe so profoundly in the educational cause that we all champion. I will also tell you that I'm a community person. And the reason I bring that up is I think school boards are the ultimate community control, the ultimate community government. I mean, our country was developed around our churches and our schools. And so the schools have been that community focal point, and you are the guardians of those schools. And that's why I think it's so important. The leaders in Washington, as well-intentioned as they might be, do not know what's going on in the classrooms in your community. Your state leaders, as well-intentioned as they might be, often do not know what's going on at the ground level within your classroom. They talk about mandates. You know, people think school boards have all this great power. But realistically, with money at least, with the unfunded mandates of the federal government, coupled with the unfunded mandates of many state governments, your discretionary ability over dollars is really nil. So really what your role is to hire the leader of your district, to set policy for your district, and to be a model for your district of what education really is about. And I think that is so important to our kids today, because you hear a lot of things about public education and our schools are broken and this or that. Ladies and gentlemen, our schools are not broken. I will tell you, that when I was substitute teaching, when I was a kid, you know, you go to school, and I was always brought up in the home that, you know, if you get in trouble at school, you're going to get it again when you get home. Doesn't matter what your justification was, you're going to get it again. Today, even when I was back teaching, we were feeding the kids before school. We were taking care of them at school. We were taking care of them after school. We were giving them clothing. We were reaching out to them. We were providing counseling for them. We were providing medical treatment for them. And frankly, I don't think a lot of our people in our communities know what our districts do for our kids. And so frankly, we always look at these standardized tests, or are we achieving here, are we achieving there? The truth of the matter is, there's a lot more to becoming an educated citizen of our community than what you score on a standardized test. Thank you. When kids are safe, happy, and healthy, and they are in a classroom that's engaging, they will learn. I don't care what academic level they are at. And they've shown that over and over. And so we are not broken. Now, there's things that we can do to improve our education, but see, the community, the world that we live in, doesn't focus on the schools that are doing things right. They focus on the ones that are struggling. We, as the districts that are doing things the right way, need to reach out to those brothers and sisters in those other districts and help them, because only together can we all achieve. And frankly, our policies are being dictated many times by what's going on in the urban centers of our nation. I heard Carter speak at the Summer Institute this year, and he talked about that, about how national policy is being focused around what's happening in Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, etc. But you know, ladies and gentlemen, in communities that I come from, in Kentucky, I'm sure likewise here in Missouri, they don't need to look at our schools through the filter of a Chicago or a Los Angeles or New York. Now, that's not diminishing the importance of those districts. That's just saying you can't do a cookie-cutter approach to education. And that's why local school boards are so important. You are the ones that determine in your communities how to best serve your families and how to best serve your children. So that's my philosophy on education, which leads me into why I became an officer in NSBA. And I want to tell you it has been a wonderful experience. As the president of your national association, I want to tell you what's been going on because it has been a whirlwind. I never dreamed when I became the Secretary-Treasurer that I would be dealing with the challenges that I'm dealing with this year, but it has been an awesome experience. If you don't know yet, many of you do know, but if you don't know, this past Friday, was our Executive Director's last day of service after 16 years in National School Boards Association. Dr. Ann Bryant retired Friday afternoon, and we have now selected a new Executive Director to lead our National Association. Many of you know him, and his name is Tom Gensel from the Pennsylvania School Boards Association. Tom's been there about 29 or 30 years, was about 16 years as a lobbyist, and then been an associate exec, and now has served in the last several years as executive director, and now he's going to be our national executive director. I will tell you that Tom is a tremendous man and a consensus builder. He will help us as the National Association find ways that we can serve your state association better. Over the years, I think NSBA has been a great organization, but we can be better. And the fact of the matter is, in some ways, without being negative, we lost our way a little bit, but we were well-intentioned. We were trying to do a lot of great things across the board. But we had lost a little bit about the purpose of which we were created, and we're committed to regaining that focus, which is why we have a new NSBA committee, not because we're doing away with the old and having a new, but because we're transforming, which will lead to my theme in just a minute about adaptive leadership. We are focused on the following, and we are here to serve you, and I will tell you that as your leader. We are here to serve you on advocacy, legislative, legal, and public. We combined as a nation, as state associations, need a national voice on public education. We are your voice. Kentucky, Missouri are different than maybe a California or New York. But the children, they don't, I love this saying. I heard this week. I'm trying to think of where I heard it. I've been so many places. But we've heard that children are not born with a zip code on their bed. They're born into wherever their parents happen to be. And it's not their fault of whether they're born into poverty, whether they're born into riches, whether they're born into safety, or whether they're born in harm's way. They're just children that deserve and need an opportunity. And so the states are all different as they service these children. And so we believe as an association, we need to be the clearinghouse for your voice on Capitol Hill, your voice in the Supreme Court, and your voice about public education in our communities. So we are committed as a national association to regaining that emphasis. And then the other thing that we're committed to is our training. We were told loud and clear by our executive directors that the work-alike groups and the training that we provide is very valuable. Well, we believe that school board members need training. We talk in our school districts all the time about professional development for teachers. Well, school board members are as much of need of professional development as teachers are, because we have responsibilities that are very important to our communities. So our new NSBA committee will be working with our new executive director, Tom Gensel, and we hope to have some actionable items that we will evaluate in our December meeting. Now, this fall, I'll be traveling around the country spreading the message about public education. I've been to Georgia School Boards Association. I saw Mark here in Savannah. I know they've got a lot going on in their state right now. And one of the things that I'm also committed to this year that I told Mark this morning is we've been the national voice, but we've got to not just be the national voice at NSBA, we've got to serve you on the state level in your communities. We need to be there for you. I'm going to Louisiana in October because there's a lawsuit going on in Louisiana about vouchers in charter schools. And we're going to be there to support our executive director, Scott Richard, as he faces the people that would be naysayers about public education, that would rather privatize education and do away with community schools. I know Georgia's got some things like that going on. And I will tell you, as your leader, I'm committed to that cause. So if I can be of any assistance to you in that respect, please feel free to reach out to me. Now I'll bring you to my last point, which is my theme this year. And I don't talk a long time. I'm not like your speaker last night. I mean, I don't know that I've got any talent or not. I'm just happy to be here. I know you had the America's Got Talent guy. I'm not going to sing for you, I assure you. This morning I did gather with the group for the morning gathering and did make a joyful noise, but that's the extent of my singing. My theme this year is adaptive leadership, moving education forward. Now, you might ask, why adaptive leadership? Well, I went through a program at Harvard a few years back called the Executive Educators Leadership Institute. And I learned a lot at that meeting. I learned that we can't be fixated. We can't be where we treat education every year like it doesn't change, because it is changing. The way that children are learning is changing. I mean, when I learned computers, I learned on a Radio Shack Tandy 286 that probably wouldn't fit in the trunk of my car. Now, I carry a cell phone that's more powerful than 10 of those computers linked together. Our children used to learn in books. Now they're in a digital age. They're learning through digitation. They're learning through video games. They're learning through television. And yet, sometimes we don't change the ways we teach. Our schools, our calendars, we were built in an agrarian society, right? So we have our calendars are built around our agricultural year, when we have to plant crops and when we have to harvest crops. But you know, that's all changed. And now we're competing with nations that have school year round, that go longer days. And I'm not saying that that's all the answers. I'm just saying that we can't do things the way we've always done them. Because if we do, it's not going to be about a child being left behind. It's going to be about a nation being left behind. And the fact of the matter is, you can talk about democracy. You can talk about the strength of our economy as a nation. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen? Education is why America is what America is today. And that is the truth. That's why we're all here. Each of you have been given the opportunity to have a free and appropriate public education. So adaptive leadership is about how we change. MSBA is changing. We have a new executive director. We have a new focus. We have a new initiative. We have a new mission. And as we change, we believe we can go, as the catchphrase is, from good to great, and from great to better than great. We can go from where we are to where we want to be. And it may be different, but it's still all good, because at the end of the day, it's not about us. It's not about me being up here. When I gave my interview to become the MSBA officer, the thing that I remember most is that I gave this statement. MSBA was here before I even knew what it was. I hope it's still here long after I'm gone. All I can do is the best that I can do as I'm passing through. Ladies and gentlemen, our kids will go through, and time goes by quickly. Just like yesterday that my 16-year-old was born, and she turned 16 Friday. And that time has gone so quickly. So the fact of the matter is, we have to be engaged. We have to change the way we're doing things to give our children the opportunities to which they deserve. Because at the end of the day, it's not about me. It's not about you. It's not about your school board. It's about the kids that we serve. I look at leadership as an inverted pyramid, and I'll end with this. When you become a superintendent or president of the National Association, people think you're at the top. I don't look at it that way, ladies and gentlemen. I look at it as I'm at the bottom. Let me explain what I mean. The top, the inverted pyramid, are our children. If I wasn't up here to serve children, I don't deserve to be here. So we have the children who are served by our teachers. We have our teachers who are served by our administrators. We have our administrators who are served by our local school boards. We have our school boards that are served by our state associations. And then we have our national association that was created to serve our state associations. Our state associations are our members, and we're going to serve you as a national association. And that's my commitment to you as your national president. I appreciate being here today. I'd love to hear more from each of you. I give everyone my email and cell phone number if you want to call me or reach out. My email is easy. It's CED, Massey, M-A-S-S-E-Y, at nkYlawyers.com. If you wonder why, that's because I'm a lawyer, but you wonder why I always tell people jokingly, my full name is Charles Ed Massey, and I go by Ed. But for law purposes, I put C.Ed Massey. So if you're in an accident, you can see Ed Massey. That's still my joke. But that's my email. My cell phone number is 859-743-0318. And I don't make any bones about that. I will be happy to try to answer your questions if you have them. I'm honored, truly honored to be here to serve you. And that's what I believe my mission is as the president of the National School Boards Association. So thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be here. And I look forward to answering any questions you may have of me.